Hey, what's cracking? Hope this video finds you doing well. Hope that today you've got everything going your way, man. If you don't, I thank you for clicking on the video. I make videos about what it was like to grow up in prison. I went to prison for murder in Oklahoma when I was 15 years old. And I was there 20 years, 5 months, and 29 days before I got out. So a day short of 20 and a half years. I can't do anything to change what put me in prison. I made that mistake when I was 15 years old, and it changed my whole life and the life of everyone around me and the victim's family and their lives. It's a terrible thing. If I could change one thing in my life, it would be that. So I try to help other people by maybe saving some other kid, man. I make these videos, share them what I went through in hopes that some other kid will maybe see it and think twice before they do something. They'll put them there. And a lot of things that I talk about are for grown men as well. Um, if you decide to watch the videos, you'll do better if you start at the beginning, because I told it all right in order, from the time I was 15, what led to me doing what I did, how I ended up there and being certified as an adult and sent on to prison with grown men. And I tell the story as it happened so you can kind of see the evolution of a scared kid to a hardened criminal, and hopefully you'll see it as now on to be a good man, because that's what I strive to do. And I usually tell stories about it, but today I asked people in the last video, in the last short, to help me make my next video and shoot some questions at me, and I'll be glad to answer them. So there's some of the questions on here, a couple answers. I'm sure if you've watched all the videos, you already know. But for the sake of the people who asked the questions, for the sake of this video, I'm going to answer these questions. And if there's a couple you already know the answer to, well, thank you for watching, man. I really appreciate it. So Mark Poor asked, how many inmates did I see come back? People get out, come right back in. And I can't tell you an exact number, but I will tell you it's very high. Kind of goes with another person's question. Just one moment. So they asked me, and who was it that asked me, was there anything that I missed about prison? I wanted to say the person's name with it. So I don't want to get stuck on it too far. But what happens is guys go into prison, and they're in there a long time, and most of them lose their family. Most people's family doesn't stick by them, let alone a girlfriend or a wife. I've never seen anyone go into prison and be in there 10 years or more and still be with the same woman they came in with. It just doesn't happen. People like to say absence makes the heart grow fonder, but in truth, out of sight is out of mind. And if you do go to prison, it's your responsibility to pump them letters out, man. Try to get somebody to answer you, because it's your job to keep that bridge open so people can cross it. Because if you forget about doing that, they'll forget about you, surely. And Sunset asked, is there anything I miss about prison? That was the second one. Sunset asked that question. So, no, I don't miss anything about prison. Not a damn thing. A lot of people miss the camaraderie they have, the brotherhoods they form inside the prison. A lot of people think if you're in the Universal Aryan Brotherhood, it means you're racist. That isn't what that means. That's just something that they've chose to mark themselves with, as say, hey, this is me and this is who I am. A lot of them still do business with blacks and stuff, and they even have blacks in their families. But when they're in prison, they have to pretend to be something they're not. A lot of people do. And a lot of people miss that brotherhood, because I guess they get out here and they're not around any of their brothers and have to work every day. And I guess some of them just would rather lay in a cell and read a book, be in a place where they're well known and their word means something. Because out here, your word doesn't mean much. And most people don't do what they say they're going to do. And people will talk out the side of their neck to you, say any old thing, because you can't do nothing about it. And in prison, people don't do that shit. So that's probably something people miss about prison, is the respect factor. That in prison there's a lot of respect, and out here there is very little. So maybe that's something that people would miss. Marianne asked, what were my goals before I got locked up? What did I plan on doing before I went down the road I did and ended up in prison? And I'll tell you, I wanted to go into the military. I wanted to go into the Air Force. I wanted to fly a fighter jet, man. I used to watch this, of course, like all of us, Top Gun, but there was another show out around that time when I was a kid called Iron Eagle, about a kid whose father was a jet flyer, and he went down in enemy territory, and this kid has a bunch of other kids on the base, brats, their parents are there, and they finagle a way to steal a jet, and he goes in and gets his dad back. So I always wanted to drive a jet, fly a jet, excuse me. But unfortunately, after what I did, going into service is out of the question. But I wish that it wasn't, because I would love to have served my country. I would rather have died a hero than an old convict, and that's for sure. Carbon X asks, what goals did I have when I got out of prison? So the whole time I was in prison, my mom was having to support me and help me when she could. There was times when she couldn't send me no money, but other times when she could, she tried to send me $50 a week or something if she was able to. And my goal when I got out of prison is what it still is, to never go back. To me, nothing is worth going back to prison unless you threaten the life of one of my family. Um, I really am not willing to go back if you hurt me. I mean, if you kick my ass real good, I'm not going to the police, man. I'll just heal up, because I'm not going to jail, and I don't want to put no one else in jail. So my goals were mostly, when I first got out, I went up to the Votech here in Shawnee, Gordon Cooper in Shawnee, and I tested to become an airplane mechanic. And I outscored the other people in the test, but they still didn't take me because I was 35 years old, and then these kids are all coming out of high school. Because of my history, I guess it's a little harder to mold someone who's 35 years old and been in prison 20 years than it is some kid coming out of high school. So I completely understand why they didn't choose me. But once they didn't, my goal was just to get a job and work hard and get a home for my wife, and hopefully someday make enough money to help my mom. I haven't got there yet. Um, Maybe someday this YouTube channel will get big enough, or maybe I'll get that book written, and I'll be able to do something. But for sure, she's getting older, and I'm running out of time to make it happen. But it is on my mind every day. Uh, Andrew Jackson asked, are some prisons haunted? Hey, man, I don't necessarily believe in haunted things, ghosts, and all that. I don't necessarily believe in that. But let me tell you, the old cell houses in McAllister and Granite absolutely feel haunted. And people say they're haunted. They say they're haunted by the people who were on death row and got killed by the state. And when you go down there, those cells are little and they're old, and it's very eerie feeling. You do feel something that isn't quite right when you're in those old cell houses. I was only in the McAllister old cell house one time. The water and everything got messed up on the unit, and they walked us across there in handcuffs and chains to shower us in the old cell house. And we saw those cells, and I could not believe it. It blew my mind. I can't believe people lived like that. So yeah, I think some of them just may be. Plant Loving Patrick asked me, do I still use my TikToks, and do I do meet and greets? So the TikTok, no, I haven't been doing it. I had a guy that was going to build that for me. He was going to make shorts for me, and then I was going to post them on TikTok, and they thought that was a good way. But the truth is, I'm not just very good with technology, and I know how to make a video with my phone and upload it to YouTube, but other than that, I'm not very, very good at it. If I believe that if I had a team to help me improve the videos and this and that, probably could do much better. But I don't have a team. I can't afford to pay one, and so it's just me and y'all. Y'all's the ones making it happen for me, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. Do meet and greets. I've never done a meet and greet. I'm not sure what that would entail, or I'm not sure what that has. But I'll tell you what, Plant Loving Patriot, if you will send me a friend request on Facebook and a message on Messenger, we certainly can discuss it. I'm sure up for it. I just need to understand. So send me a message on Messenger and let me know that it's you, and explain everything to me, and maybe we'll set it up. I have went all over the state of Oklahoma meeting people. I went to see John Doe in Idabel, and I went to see Brandon Lee in Tulsa. So yeah, I'll go around. I love to meet new people and finding the friends that I've found in this channel. I do things a little different than most YouTubers. Most YouTubers, they just put their video up and give you a little heart. I was answering every comment, but there's so many now that I could never, I wouldn't be able to keep up and do anything else. So I do give the hearts up, but I do still answer comments. And if I see a comment from a ride or dyer, I'm certainly going to make sure I answer that. Not that anyone isn't as important as anyone. Just please understand this, that I make these videos about prison. Before I started making these videos, I had been out 12 years. There was just a woman I worked for, and she would always say, because I would bring prison up all the time. All the time I would be bringing it up. They wouldn't do that in prison, or if I was in prison, or, things like that. She'd tell me, quit talking about prison. Don't even think about it. Forget it. And so I did that for a while, and it seemed almost like it faded into my memory pretty well. Then I started doing these videos and started thinking about it a lot. And I've had a lot more night terrors since I've been making the videos. They did ease up for a little while, but overall, I think I've had more. But I still do think talking about it helps me. And whether it helps me or not, I really don't care. If some kid it'll save someone. If it'll save any one of you guys from going to prison, I do not care if it makes me sick. Bedbug asks, what prison movies do I like? What movies they've made about prison do I think are good? So American Me. If you watch American Me, that's how it was in that time. So now it's the 2020s. I got out in 2009. I'm not sure what it would be like today. I think it's about the same except for more rules, and they've got more security than they used to have. But American Me is the one that comes closest to anything I've ever seen a prison movie to being true. Polly Dibbs asks, what was the most ingenious thing I ever saw Inmate pull off? I've got to say, in McAllister, I was in McAllister. It's just the highest security there is, maximum security. Only the worst of the worst go there. Got to get a battery on the staff, murder somebody, stab somebody to end up there. Be involved in a riot. Those are the people who are there, people who just keep stabbing people. But there, while I was there, these two convicts, they were getting their weed in, an ounce in every book. Yeah, you heard me right, say a book. And they had a lady who worked at a book company, and she would take pages from she would cut out the spine some way and flatten that ounce of weed in a little thing about this tall and that wide and about that thick, and she would put it in the spine of the book. And you could open that book up, flip through the pages, and never see it. And so she would send 3 books to one of them and then 3 books to the other one. Like they were just getting books to read all the time. As soon as they get them, they tear them up, and every one of them had an ounce of weed in them. And the officers bringing the books to hand them to them, have them sign for it. That's pretty fucking ingenious, if you ask me. Stuck in the 90s ask about the first time I tried to use a smartphone. Some of you guys I know this, but the truth is I had my smartphone for 3 days before I got it turned on. I could not figure out how to turn it on, and I was too embarrassed to ask. I pushed every button that I could push. Finally, I think I looked it up on the computer and figured it out, but I'm not sure if that's how I figured it out. Somebody ended up showing me, but yeah, I couldn't figure out how to do it for 3 days. So the fact that I'm making videos is amazing to me, man. When I got out, I'd never even driven a car. It wasn't even old enough for a permit. Mr. Garlic Man asked, so you always hear people get on here and after they get out of prison say, oh, they should have never done that and blah, blah, blah. And he says, well, why don't they stop to think about that before they do it? And that's a good question. For me, there is no excuse. I shouldn't have been in that store that night. I did not know anyone was going to get hurt, and I don't think anyone did. He didn't mean to do that. We should have never been in that situation, because when you're in a bad situation like that, anything can happen. But I think that unfortunately a lot of people have to be punished before they understand they have to follow the rules. As unfortunate as that is, some people just have to learn the hard way, man. And that's my opinion. Sarah asked, were the killers terrified? The way I said I was terrified when I get to McAllister, were the killers terrified too? So there are some men I do not think feel terror. There are some guys in McAllister that I would not want living on the same block with me or my family. They hurt people for the enjoyment of it, and I don't think they get scared. I don't think they feel things the way other people feel it emotionally. And but everyone else, anyone with the same mind, I certainly think was afraid while you're at McAllister. A lot of times you can get to a medium security prison, and after you've lived there a while, it just becomes your life, and you don't walk around scared every day. You just walk around going about your life in this little city, in this little town. You can't leave because there's a wire around it or a fence. So most people, I think that everyone would be scared, or they're lying. That place, if you've ever pulled up to McAllister, it just looks like something bad's going to happen. And 13 Chronicles of Dagger asked me, can you order vegan? Now, as far as you just going in there and saying, oh, I want to be a vegetarian, I'm not going to eat meat, no way, that don't work. You have to do it through medical. So, I mean, not medical. You have to do it, yeah, you can do it through medical if you require a certain diet. But you have to get that approved through medical, and then it has to go on and be approved by the warden. And you can also do things through religion. They let Jews send in kosher food. People who are Jewish, they send kosher food in there. They get packages, your family has to buy them and send them to you. If you don't have anybody help you on the street, you're not going to have anything special. You're going to go to chow hall and you're going to get beans at lunch one day and you're going to get bologna the next. The next day you're going to get beans and the next day you're going to get bologna. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So Chris, Ryder Dyer Chris, asked, what books made an impression on me? So I guess the book that made the biggest impression on me was the first one I ever read, The Hobbit. It gave me a love for reading that helped me carry me through the years. I actually enjoy to read a book because I read The Hobbit as my first one. The Outsiders, any book written by S.E. Hinton. The Outsiders, Rumblefish, that was then, this is now. I've read The Outsiders 19 times. So, yeah, those are my favorite books. Daniel May asked, as I got closer to getting home, did other inmates try to start trouble with me? So, not the way you would think. You wouldn't think, you might think that people are jealous or getting out and just come over and start shit with you dry. But it doesn't go like that. No one just comes up and starts trouble with you, but people will try to get away with more if they're able to. So like I ended up in solitary the last 2 weeks because that guy tried to steal my watch. He honestly didn't think I would fight going that close to home. He didn't think I would risk that. Because if we would have fought and I would have got caught fighting the dude, I would have went to level 1 and lost a year's good time. It would have made me do the whole 22-year sentence day for day. And so I was an idiot and still wanted to fight. Looking back on it, man, I'm glad I didn't. He ended up telling on me and my wife, and I discharged from solitary, yeah. Daniel May, what's up with prison YouTubers saying they fight every day, been over 100 fights and ain't got no scars, they still got all their teeth? Well, I hear you, brother. I hear you. I have a hard time understanding it too. Well, let me tell you, I got scars all over me, brother. I was in a little over 60 fights that I could count and remember before I couldn't remember anymore. So I know I was in 60 of them, but brother, I got scars everywhere. Under my chin and my eyebrows, on the side of my face, my hand. I don't know if you can see it. They had to dig a knuckle. They had to dig someone's tooth out of that. I broke my hand so many times it just isn't right anymore. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how they managed to have all those stories and do all that time and get in all them fights, but yet they I don't know, man. Lotus of Borg asked, did I have paper time? Yeah, so I had a 34-year sentence with 12 suspended, so that ends up being 22 in and 12 out. So I discharged that 22, and then I had the 12 to do on the streets. And the first 4 was supposed to be supervised, where I have to show I've got a job. I got to show I have a place to live. I have to come and do UAs every month and check in for 4 years. But I did it for 2 and never missed a UA and had a job the whole time and a stable place to live. I always answered a phone call, so they cut me loose in 2 years as far as the supervised part. But still yet, I had to wait 34 years total before that falls off me. Right now, I'm a free man. I have everything's fallen off. It's all behind me. I don't have any paperwork, paper time, or anything now. And Rob Johnson asked, how much contraband do officers really bring in? So I'm going to tell you that most of it. The officers bring in most of it. Because if they didn't, we wouldn't have it. A lot of guards, they will let people sneak by with stuff, sometimes for money, sometimes just trying to be cool. But when the guards don't do their job, it doesn't benefit the people who are locked up. It's much more dangerous when the officers don't do their job. But when they're not doing their job and bringing drugs in, yeah, they're making that prison a little rougher than it has to be. Sharky wants to know the best thing I ever saw a prisoner do as far as having empathy for someone else. So there was a guy a staff member, I don't know if he had a heart attack or a stroke or what, but this inmate picked him up and carried him all the way to medical from the unit. And he heard a lot of shit talked about it, helping the popo, helping the man. You know, he caught a lot of shit over that. Nobody ever fought him over it that I seen, but they did always talk bad about him for helping that guy. But I thought it was good of him myself, and I would have done it if he didn't. So, Mr. Marvelous asks, are there any states I'd like to visit? Any goals, hobbies, or skills? So I love to fish. I like playing Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. I like watching TV with my girl. Um, I would like to see all the states. So far, I've seen Colorado. I've been through Mexico. I've been to Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas. That's all the ones I saw, but I would like to see them all before I die. The main thing I want to do is see the ocean. I want to see the ocean. I've never seen the ocean, but you know, it just takes money to do that stuff. You can't just up and run off. And right now, I'm okay. I have everything I need to survive, but I only have what I need to survive, nothing extra. So won't be doing that for a little while, but maybe at some point. And I think that's all the questions. So I want to thank you guys for giving me the questions. I hope you enjoy the video. If you have any more, always feel free to ask. If you are sweating going in yourself and you have anything personal you need to ask, you can hit me up through Messenger and we'll have a little bit more complete conversation. I want to say thank you. Shout out to the riders and dyers, the riders who ride till the wheels fall off. Dyers keep riding even when they do. But to any of you guys that are always in there dropping comment, watching every video, you are just as important to me, man. I just feel like I need to do something for the people who are riders and dyers because they have went above and beyond. I know there's some things I'm forgetting, and I just can't remember them right now. I don't have a script. I'm not reading a prompter. I'm just out here kicking it with you. The next video, I will either jump back into my story or I will add another volume to Oklahoma Prison Legends. You guys can hit me up in the comment and let me know what you'd rather me do. Jump right back into my story or Oklahoma Prison Legends about Danny the Machine Parker. And you guys let me know and I'll be back with it in a couple days. Mother's Day was this last Sunday. I hope you all had a great Mother's Day. My anniversary, 14 years, was yesterday. People said when I got out, me and my wife wouldn't stay together. And the truth is, I never seen a guy in prison hook up with a guard or a staff and then actually stay with them when they got out. And when I got out, everybody said I wouldn't hang around, I wouldn't last. But yesterday made 14 years, and I plan to be with her the rest of my life. And love anyone that way I love my honey bunches. Monica, I love you. Her birthday is this Wednesday. I won't say how old she'll be, but she's the love of my life, and I'll be glad to celebrate another year I have with her. Until the next video, when I see you guys again, may God bless, keep, and protect each and every one of you. Peace out.